This time on Meet the Team, I am joined by Alec Holmes. Alec, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Where are you joining us from? Where are you based in the world?
So I am in the Bay Area in San Francisco.
Okay. And what do you do at Chronosphere? What's your job title, or what do you do, if you feel like there's a different answer to that question?
So I work in engineering, and because of the nature of the startup, tend to kind of jump around a little bit. My primary focus, however, is centered around the part of our product that is helping customers track basically the health of their various systems. So lately, this is involving refining how customers manage their alerting configuration, how they build out various systems to support that. And this ends up touching on a couple different areas of the product. So some of my time is spent just sitting at my keyboard and coding, and sometimes thinking about architecture, but I also spend a fair amount of time collaborating with others on just like ideas and architecture.
What does, just for clarification for anyone who's sort of new in the observability space, what does alerting involve?
Yeah, the terminology kind of tends to skew a little bit depending on where people are coming from. But alerting is basically customers, using an observability platform to constantly check on the health of the systems that they're building. So they want to know, is my system running? Is it running fast enough? Are the error rates low enough? That sort of thing. They just need to constantly monitor that things are going well. And if they're not, they want to understand kind of why things aren't going well and some of the trends around that.
Okay. What brought you to Chronosphere? Why did you decide to join?
There are quite a few list of reasons. So I won't go into all of them. I'll narrow it down a little bit. One of the really big ones for me is the team of people that I'm working with. I've always found that I'm happiest when I'm working in a team of people that are all just very collaborative and supportive and kind of working in sync towards the same direction. That's something I found here. And what drew me in is I knew a couple of people to start with. And then as I went through the interview process and met, various people in various roles, I really liked the people I met and I had a really good feeling. So that was one thing. I just want to work with, really great people who would help me learn. The other one beyond the team is what we're building here is something I've always been interested in and felt is pretty important. So, in past roles, I've worked in areas that have used observability platforms, and I've never been quite satisfied. So, for me, when this came along, it kind of felt like the right time to be able to join something early enough where you can really help shape what we're doing. That was very compelling as well.
Okay. And where were you before, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I've worked in a couple of places over time, starting way back with a nonprofit when I was in college. But the last thing I was working on prior to here is I was at the fintech company Square for about 8.5 years.
Oh, wow.
I was there for, quite some time. And I was kind of lucky because it was such a long time and the company grew a lot during it, to touch on a couple of different parts of the business. So I started off working on their payments infrastructure, working on the systems that process credit card payments and make sure that the small merchants they support get paid every day. Worked on that for a while, spent a few years also working on their public developer API platform. And then the last stretch there was working for the Cash App part of the business, helping out build their cloud infrastructure. And it turns out that last stint on Cash App ended up leading in really well to my work here. Like a lot of the platform work we were doing there and a lot of the problems we were trying to deal with overlap very, very naturally with the ones that are going on at Chronosphere.
Okay. I feel like you might have answered this ever so slightly already, but what is the most interesting technical challenge Chronosphere is solving, do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question because I know we talk a lot about scaling metrics and scaling the metric storage engine. So that's like an extremely interesting problem. I actually don't work that much on those types of problems here. The ones I think that I'm really interested in solving right now are kind of scalability in two aspects around what we internally call triage, which is helping customers understand quickly when something is going wrong in their systems and helping them mitigate it. So there are a couple scaling problems around triage. One problem, which isn't immediately technical is that the customers that we tend to target themselves are quite large. A customer in our case is often not necessarily a small company, although some are. A lot of our customers are big companies in their own right that have sprawling organizational structures, which means that when these companies are trying to define a learning, it's not one small group of people doing it. It's hundreds or thousands of people across like many different business lines. So the first challenge that we've kind of had to start facing is how do these, when there's like all this information that they need to model in the observability space, how can we represent it for them so they can navigate it very naturally and not be, overwhelmed by just like the sheer number of things that they're looking at. And we've had to really think when we're designing some of our newer observability systems, what concepts do we want to have that will make this natural to scale from like a small customer to a large customer. So from a conceptual model, that's been very interesting. And on a more technical side, this all comes with challenges on the back end as well. If you're a customer and you have, thousands or tens of thousands of constantly executing alerts, we want to ensure that those are running smoothly. They execute on time. The data that's coming back is correct and usable. And part of the challenges of building out the backend for like kind of easily navigable alert structures is that you want that to be fast and reliable and snappy, and that's technically can be quite challenging to build as well.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that everyone talks about scaling a lot, but people sort of forget that also means you also need to have something that works for people on all sorts of ends, and hopefully not to maintain multiple products or projects to do that.
Exactly. I think it's the sort of thing where the first problem that we came to solve was just storing a ton of metrics. And we've made like extremely good progress on that front. And I think once you're successful there, people want all this other stuff as well. And many of that needs to scale as well. So the V1, the MVP versions of all that stuff has certainly been tested by, the growth of our customers as well.
All right. I feel like this next question is somewhat related, and maybe you've already answered it again, is what are you working on right now that you're excited about?
So what I'm mainly working on right now is kind of rolling out a pretty significant revamp of how we monitor or how we let customers express their alerting configuration. So we're moving towards a model that's meant to be more flexible and allow a lot more reusability around the primitives people define. So we've been working on this for a couple of months. One of the first things that I started on when I joined here was actually working with the head of product and head of design to step back, think about what are the important concepts we need to think about. And then we kind of gradually worked from there, to build out a model. And then from there to build out a pretty huge change to the back end to support this. So it's been months in the making, and we are just starting to roll it out now.
So I guess the excitement is when it's done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's it's the excitement of seeing something you've been working really hard on. It's like finally come to fruition, and see it in the the hands of customers actually using it.
All right, that's the serious questions done. Let's get to the fun questions. We'll start with, what is a fun fact about you that nobody would guess?
Let's see. One fun fact is I spent most of my childhood growing up in the suburbs outside of New York City, which is probably something anyone could guess. But the fun fact aspect of it is for 5 years when I was a teenager, I lived with my family in Tokyo, which was pretty amazing. I was very lucky as a kid to be able to run around this huge city with free reign. So it's definitely very disappointing to move back and then
it is a huge
not have a driver's license and be stuck in the woods.
All right. Now, this question has been an interesting one because it seems to have changed probably from what it would have been a couple of years ago. Apart from any company stickers, we all know that engineers often, used to, still do, like to have stickers on their laptop. Apart from any company stickers, what do you have?
So I am admittedly not much of a sticker person. So I don't have any stickers on my laptops. I do have one single fridge magnet, which is an Eskimo holding a snow cone that I got in Iceland.
Not on the laptop, though, I hope.
Nothing on my laptop. I think if I were press and had to put a sticker on, there's a coffee shop around here I really like called Andy Town. And I do notice when I buy my coffee at the register, they have a lot of like very adorable stickers of like birds holding coffee cups and things like that. So I think that would probably be the first sticker to come.
This feels like a Chronosphere trend. I kind of could say that when we all get together, no one will be able to tell whose laptop is whose.
People like their clean lines just a little too much.
All right. If you're an animal, what would you be?
This is probably like the opposite of the fun fact question, and that everyone would guess it, at least people who know me and work with me. So I think I would have to go with I would be a cat. I like, for those who know me, I am a cat enthusiast, but I think beyond that, I think they have a good life of, they spend half the time exploring and just kind of roaming around and learning new things and seeing new things. And the other half, they're just lounging and enjoying life.
You obviously have a very adventurous cat if it's half and half. It's probably like 20%, 80%.
Yeah, we have two cats. One is extremely adventurous and the other is extremely lazy.
I actually own a cat too, but I don't know. A cat seems so completely the opposite of me. I'm not sure if I could imagine myself as one. So I don't know. The adventurous part, maybe the sleeping. I wish I could sleep as much. All right then. Who is someone or something? I know sometimes there can be a more broad answer to this question that you've considered a role model that has helped guide you in your life or career.
Yeah, it's hard to narrow it down. I'm one of those people that has I think I have the mentality of it takes a village. So there've been, there might not be one singular person, but there's certainly a lot of people over time. To kind of maybe give a few examples. When I was a kid, I was very lucky in that, kid in middle school, I was very lucky in that I had a teacher there who ran the computer lab who basically saw that I liked computer things and was very, not only like very encouraging of this, but kind of, gave me books on programming and kind of showed me the ropes a little bit. That was probably the first example of someone who really recognized what I liked and like kind of helped me learn how to explore that. I think, a little bit more recently when it comes to, my career now and where I've been going the past few years. I think it was during my time at Square that I was really able to mature a lot as an engineer. And I credit that, I think, with that company just having a lot of like really, very bright, very thoughtful people. When I was there, I had a bunch of leads that were just very thoughtful about helping me plan my career path and giving me really good feedback. That went a really long way. But then beyond that, I've also, throughout my career, become friends with a lot of peers I've worked with. And what that's ended up being for me is like having not only friends, but like a kind of like a social support network where we all act as sounding boards to, sometimes talk about like very deep in the weeds technical things and sometimes talk about just kind of the long arc of where we want to go as software engineers.
Collection of rubber ducks.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's always good to have a collection.
Yeah. And this is a question I'm interested out of personally, and I may be revealing your age too much here. I don't know. What programming languages was that teacher trying to get you to learn, helping you learn?
So back then, this would have been the late 90s. Mm-hmm. The first programming language I encountered was BASIC. Like my grandfather had this like
everybody of that sort of age.
Yeah, exactly. I think BASIC was like the kind of big one you got back then, because like if you had a DOS PC, like QBasic was there. You got it for free and it had some games on it, so there was like kind of something to hook you in. So back then it was like QBasic and then transitioning into Visual Basic. Although I did, for better or worse, play around a lot with C++ at the time, using like the Borland compiler and which one was it? The DJGPP compiler.
That one's not familiar at all, but my C++ experience comes at university, so a bit later, so possibly long gone by then. All right then, so maybe it was from one of those people you just mentioned, but what's a quote that you reflect on or that you mention to people a lot that motivates you?
It's not a work quote. I don't necessarily have any like business book type quotes, but there is one, one larger life quote that I've always really enjoyed. So it's from James Baldwin, and the quote is that not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. I like the quote because I think life in general, it's full of challenges at various levels. Some are personal, some in the community, and some are global. And I think it's a good reminder that it's important to remember that even when problems are huge and sometimes feel almost insurmountable, that you can never make any progress until you just take that first step. So it's a quote I like. It just passes through my mind from time to time.
No, it's a good quote. It's a very good quote. Excellent. And a nice place to stop, I think. So, Alec, thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. Thank you as well.